Sadness. That's what every person feels after watching the final episode of an excellent series. It's truly emptiness because a great series binds the viewer to the characters. They become your friends, your family, a part of you. And when the viewer sees the credits roll on the final episode, they suddenly realize that it's now just pleasant memories. That's exactly what happened to me after I finished watching the final episode of The Sopranos. All the characters I saw on the screen became like family to me, and I didn't want to let them go. This is a small cheat code of series because the movie has about 2 hours to fully tell the story and connect the characters to the audience. Series, on the other hand, have much more time. In The Sopranos there are 86 episodes, each about an hour long, so that's 86 hours. But what's more important is how each series uses its time, how it tells the story, develops the characters, and changes them. The Sopranos does this wonderfully. All the characters we see on the screen feel truly alive, each with their own well-developed personality, desires, motivations, flaws, and quirks. Each of them is a person worth following. The dialogues and relationships between characters are incredibly strong aspects of the series. As I mentioned in my previous video about The Sopranos, the series balances between criminal plots and relationships within the family or even between families. I mean regular family and a criminal one.
Because once you enter this family, there's no getting out.
Unlike typical mafia films, The Soprano is a deconstruction of the genre, and it does this deconstruction through the point of view of family relationships. It's like saying, look, even Tony Soprano, the mafia boss, comes home and argues with his wife. He's just like the viewers watching this series. And by doing this, the series makes it clear that Tony has the same problems as ordinary people, just with a slightly different line of work. In other mob films, everything mostly looks more epic, whereas in The Sopranos everything is more down to earth and realistic, giving a fresh breath to films and series about the mafia. Realism. That's what many people loved about The Sopranos, among many other things. Overall, I'm talking about how the entire series of The Sopranos stays within the framework of its narrative thread, without going into the maze of plot twists, which can even leave someone bewildered. For example, towards the end of the 6th season, it seemed to me that the moment was about to come when Christopher will go against Tony, leading to a major plotline about Christopher wanting to kill Tony or seek revenge against him. It could have been a big drama about revenge, forgiveness, and tears, especially after Christopher kills his friend, the screenwriter, at the end of the 17th episode. But suddenly, like a sucker punch to the viewer, at the beginning of the next episode, completely unexpectedly, Christopher and Tony get into a car accident and Tony kills Christopher. At first, this shocks the viewer. It's truly unexpected. Christopher dies without a fight. He dies not in a dramatically gunfight as would happen in most gangster movies and series with one of the main characters. He dies without epic. Then the viewer may have some resentment. One of the most beloved characters of the whole series was let go so easily, as if without giving him a chance to show what he is capable of. But only then comes the realization that this is the most logical ending for this character, and the most realistic ending. We are used to the fact that in mafia movies the main character always dies with a gun in their hands, shouting a beautiful phrase, but The Sopranos is a deconstruction of the genre, a realistic version, and Christopher is the best character to demonstrate that, a character who is a movie lover, and in the series he's wondered what his arc is and where his arc is.
It says in these movie writing books that every character has an arc. Where's my arc?
And the point of his arc throughout the series is that he wants to be a gangster. He thinks it's a cool life and that he's about to get close to such a life, but the glamorous life of a mobster is shown only in the movies, and in reality he faces dirt and depression. Christopher mistakenly believes that you have to wait a little longer and everything will change, that he will be noticed, that he will become incredibly rich and cool gangster. But this is not a movie. Even in the moment when Adriana confesses to Christopher that she's in contact with the FBI, she offers to start a new life. And Christopher would probably agree, but then he sees a regular family at the gas station. A family that drives an old car and remembers that he doesn't want to be regular. He wants to be a cool mobster, drive a cool car, and live a cool life, even though he doesn't even know what it is, and decides to tell Tony about Adriana and sacrifice the life of the person he loves for the sake of a fleeting dream. Christopher thought that sacrificing Adriana would earn him respect since she was the most valuable person to him, but he still didn't betray his criminal family. However, shortly afterward, Tony no longer cared about this. Moreover, after Christopher mentions Adriana again, Tony beats him, showing his true nature and the essence of human selfishness. Christopher never found a true love for himself after that, and basically never found a happy movie arc in life. After all, his real purpose is to make movies. Christopher probably watched a lot of mafia movies and wanted to be a part of the movie experience, but he realized it incorrectly. Instead of living this experience, for example, by becoming an actor, a screenwriter or a director, he embodied the cinematic experience in his life, for which he paid as a character in mafia movies, but not as grandiosely as in the mob movies. He died with a faceless death. By the way, regarding the family Christopher saw at the gas station, that's also part of misperception of life. He saw a boring family with the usual problems, but Tony, who was a New Jersey mob boss, also had a family and family problems, to which criminal problems were just added, and the whole series revolves around these two families. Psychology in the series goes beyond typical mafia storytelling, offering a deep exploration of human nature, traumas, and the complexities of mental health. Through Tony Soprano's experiences, the series invites viewers to reflect on their own internal problems and the influence of surroundings. And by the way, the funniest thing is that Tony Soprano has no fewer problems in family life than in criminal life. That's how The Sopranos combines serious psychological drama about inner head problems, family and life in general, a crime thriller as well as a sitcom, but in a good way, because the comedy in The Sopranos is excellent. Take for example the scene where they try to convince Christopher to seek treatment for his addiction. This scene is brilliant. It drives the plot forward, reveals every character individually, and overall is hilarious, a masterpiece. Even in the moments when you think you already know everything about the Sopranos characters, the series provides you with more details. One of the saddest moments in The Sopranos, which may not seem so to some, is when Paulie laughs at the TV show he's watching in the room next to Tony's. To me, this demonstrates the loneliness of a character like Paulie. He's one of the few characters who essentially has no family, who is lonely and hides it behind the mask of cheerful Paulie, always ready to joke about anything and often behaves somewhat childishly. He's accustomed himself to enjoying being alone, finding pleasure in an evening alone with the television. And all this understanding becomes possible only in comparison with Tony, who, despite having a family, mistresses, friends and respect, still sees himself as lonely, while truly lonely Paulie in the next room loves watching TV all alone. It's really sad and makes you appreciate what you have right now. The Sopranos is the kind of series where you can discuss a 30-second clip for a long time. And this 30-second clip gives a new perspective on characters whom you thought you knew well after 6 seasons. Here's a new aspect to the characters of both Paulie and Tony, new ideas about them and about life in general. And this is just a snippet of 30 seconds in a series that spans 86 hours. Remarkable.